You had Oscar the Grouch in your wedding. I mean,
that's right.
Does it get any better than that?
He was actually going to officiate. And he came up to me like, you want me to get ordained? Because I'm ready to get ordained.
Why don't we dive into this?
We're already into it.
We're here today with Martin P. Robinson, who many of you know as Mr. Snuffleupagus or Telly Monster. He is one of my oldest puppetry friends. We met on Sesame Street through a mutual friend, but before he worked on Sesame and Little Shop, he also was a marionettist. He was an actor. What would you say is the most painful part of your job?
It's been hard on my relationships because I was gone too much, but I also love working with my friends. It's not like going to work with a bunch of people you work with. It's going to hang out with your best friends. It's physically very demanding.
Yeah.
It's very strenuous work on your brain. You have to be very fit in many ways.
I should have asked you to prep for this. Will you show them the cup trick for Snuffy's voice?
Yeah, here's the Snuffy trick. Usually I have people close their eyes. You must close your eyes and imagine a large 8-foot, 15-foot long pachyderm standing in front of you.
Yeah. So what annoys you kind of, at work or when you're watching other puppeteers do their thing? Like, what do you get snooty about?
Oh, other puppeteers? 90% of the shows that I see are unrehearsed. And, and the research is something that we have to, and I hate to use the word sell, but we're selling it. I mean, we're teaching, ethics and what it means to be a human, what it means to be a friend, what it means to, what choices mean and how that affects you, how that affects other people, how it affects the world.
What do you love about being a puppeteer?
The characters, developing the characters, evolving the characters. I took over Snuffy and I took over all my characters on Sesame. There has to be a seamless transition from one puppeteer to the next. You take the character, you sound just like the person, and then you immediately start stretching it, involving it, and giving of yourself. Just a couple of weeks ago, we found out that we got picked up.
Oh, that's great.
I got to start a new character. This is kind of who he is. This is where he's from. Here's his background. But then you get to flesh him out. Then you get to invent the backstory.
Will you explain to these nice people why location shots with puppets is spectacularly difficult?
The sun is going down, and we're going as fast as we can, and we're catching bounce cards, trying to catch the last rays of the sun to keep the continuity correct. Because even though we're shooting all day long, the scene we're shooting is only 3 minutes.
Right.
So you can't have the lights change dramatically. One of the main tricks to puppetry is the camera's here, but we're not looking at the camera. We're not looking at our character. We're looking at a monitor, down below here, which has the image from the camera. Oh God, on Ninja Turtles, I did the first Ninja Turtle movie, and every time we'd have the great rehearsals on camera, and then they would turn the camera on, and our video feed was behind the lens of the camera. So then it would turn into this, 24 frames a second, and our visual acuity to what we were doing, where we were looking, just went right out the window.
Because you worked with Bill Baird.
Bill Baird got me, was really my start in the business. I got bit by the puppet bug working for Bill. Yeah. The stuff that he did on Peter and the Wolf, with all the trees, and on the top of the trees were actually the puppeteer bridges that they would work, in depth to the camera as they were moving along the marionettes on the ground. Some really interesting stuff. All my puppetry experiences before Baird were little human beings, but for Baird, they're moving sculptures, and he would design these characteristics into these creatures.
I saw the original production of Little Shop of Horrors off Broadway, and I'm wondering how you approached the character design for the Audrey puppets, and if you were responsible from the vines that dropped down from the ceiling.
And in that small theater,
Yes.
they could really drop those vines right on you. It's really lovely kind of putting people's lives in jeopardy by dropping vines on them. See this plant behind me here? At our first meeting, he was telling me, and I figured we could put the plant here, and then a puppeteer would be in the set piece and work it there. I said, well, why don't you just use the old fake hand routine? All I did was I created a fake arm that just graduated off of this arm and then came around the pot here and held onto the pot with a cast of a human hand that was holding onto it, of course, in this exact position. So it looked just like this. Seymour's hand was actually up inside here.
I know that you talk about how you have the spaces in the back of your mind for your characters. How do you go about creating that? Is that just over a long period of time embedded?
One of my favorite work things to do is to create the whole, his whole world, everything that's going on in his head, which has to be complete. As an actor, I think traditionally, my backstories on all my characters are extensive.
As you've gone through time from like when you started until now, what's something that's gotten harder and what's something that's gotten easier?
You leave everything on the studio floor. You just, all your energy is given away. And I would come home tired, and I remember thinking, this is, I don't want to be that dad. Before I opened the front door to my house, I would switch. I would say, okay, past, now, switch. I'm going to be present.
Turn your camera so they can see. Oh, you should show them your sock puppets.
I make these silly little sock puppets. This is a sock, the raw material sock. This is a character I made out of a sock just like that.
Hello there, Mary.
Hello.
Well, I am a sock puppet. His mouth will move, but do not look, because I am much more interesting.
You are more interesting.
Thank you.
I do sock puppet therapy now.
Yeah.
It takes me about an hour, and I relax, and the smell of hot glue, and
That's great.
it's the most hideous sock puppet I've ever made. And then it turns into, he's got some fun little parts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Bill Baird eyebrows. Yeah, I've got a photograph of like 50 tons.
Everyone, this is what it's like when puppeteers just geek at each other.
Annie, my dear wife, whenever puppeteers get together and start talking about glues and hot glues and foams and patterning, she just glazes over. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this and talking to everybody. You are a delight, as always.
Just get to spend time in your presence is all I ever wanted.
That's the way I feel too. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Ah!